Hello everybody and welcome to another Social Blueprint interview where we highlight people in the community who you may or may not know. But today, before we get to our interview with Ronnie Hampel, I just want to say, sign up to our website. There are so many resources there. Events, we have the biggest calendar in Melbourne. There are so many resources, NDIS, aged care, anything you want, it is all there and it is all absolutely free. Now, to today. I want to talk about getting there the right way, which is not always the short way. And Ronnie Hampel is going to talk to us all about it. Ronnie, I want to just say, you're somebody who I've known for many, many years, for people that don't know. It's a journey. It's like 40 years in the desert.
Yeah.
But why don't we start with where you are today?
Okay, so I have opened up a centre, Centre of Strength and Wellness, which is in Elstonwick.
Located.
Yes, very well located. I opened up that 4 years ago. So we had a bit of a journey, sort of trying to get ready and then opened, and then we had COVID, of course.
Lovely.
So that was fantastic. And then we managed to negotiate that and navigate that really well. And then we've got a team of people there that can help everyone as far as physiotherapy and exercise physiology and strength and conditioning, dietetics, psychology. And I opened the centre because as I was growing up, I really needed help from a team of people, right, and didn't feel like I had that team that could help me through my injuries and through my trials and tribulations. And I felt like everyone deserves to have that, not just elite athletes. So I wanted to put an opportunity for people to have a team of working with them to help them be the best they can.
Right, and usually, as you just mentioned there, it started with your own journey. Maybe back up a little bit now and just tell us, what were your injuries and what happened?
Okay, so when I was at gym, when I was younger, I hurt my back deadlifting when I was about 23 years old, and then didn't really know how to treat it properly, and then sort of basically went on a 10-year span where
10 years.
I was training, but always in pain. I had physio, but at the time, unfortunately, the gold standard of physio wasn't what it is today, and it's nothing about that. It
Right.
was what it was, but we know a lot more now. And unfortunately, it just never sort of healed, and it kept lingering and lingering.
Right.
And then I happened to be very lucky to come across the right sort of people, a strength and conditioning coach and a physiotherapist that just opened my eyes up to what the body is capable of and how you can heal better. And from that point on, I was more inspired to firstly, obviously, heal myself, but then to help others.
Right, and I want to talk about exactly what triggered that, but also I want to highlight about, again, coming at it from the long road, there's a lot of trainers right now out there who maybe have to take a 4-week class or something of that nature there, but just tell us a little bit about your qualifications.
Okay, so yeah, I went and studied human movement at Deakin University, and then when I walked out of my last exam, I was like, I'm never studying again, which was naive, but and then I went into the personal training industry.
Right.
And then as I went on, I realized that, the body is the most challenging thing to learn about, and we're
Right.
amazing beings, but there's a never-ending understanding of what we can do and how much better we can get. So then I thought, okay, there's about 1,000 personal trainers in Caulfield alone, right, just in this area. And I thought, okay, like,
Wow.
how can I put myself away from the pack?
Sure.
So I went back and studied a Masters of Strength and Conditioning, and then through that, and a lot of other courses along the way,
Yes.
just really found my niche in when I was studying and researching. Then being able to put it into practice, it again opened up a whole new sort of understanding of the body for me. And I think that was really important, that whatever I was studying, I was able to put into practice.
Right.
And that was really the first time that I had enjoyed studying as well.
And is that because you were getting results with patients?
Absolutely. Getting results, but also before that, studying was like a means to an end, and I didn't have the maturity to understand that I could put things into practice.
Right.
Whereas I would be studying something about physiology, and then the next day one of my clients might come up and say, hey, and I'd be like, I just read about that yesterday. And it also made me enjoy reading a whole lot more as well, because it's very important to understand that everyone has an opinion,
Right.
but you need to back that opinion up with some research, with some understanding of that's been scientifically proven.
Right.
And then I can say with authority, hey, I've read this scientific research, it's
Right.
said, or a number of papers have said this is the way to go about this. Let's try and go down this path, as opposed to me saying, hey, I just had an idea, let's have a go at it.
And is that what, you mentioned 10 years of pain. Did you feel like you were a little bit kind of throwing things out there to see what would work?
Yeah, I felt very lost,
Yeah.
to be honest. I felt really lost. I didn't feel like, and confused. People didn't understand how to help me. I didn't feel like I was getting, even though they were trying.
Of course.
I just didn't feel like I had the best team around me.
Right.
And everyone that walks this earth needs a team.
Yeah.
Everyone will have a different team, but we all need help. And so I felt like when I was going through that, feeling lost and ashamed of my body and all the other feelings that come with it, and not understanding. And for someone that's in that industry, it's really difficult as well.
Right.
That I'm trying to put on a brave face for all my clients and say, hey, I know what I'm doing, but I can't sort myself out.
Right.
So I think I went back and really tried to work myself out. And then through that, and through all the work I've done with physiotherapy and psychology and all the rest of it, I've been able to help my clients a lot more.
Right. And also the message of hope. You said you were in pain for 10 years daily. Can you just talk to people about how it is possible to get out of that vicious cycle?
And it is a very vicious cycle. I think, number one, if you work with someone that has walked a mile in your shoes, you have a connection with them. And for me, being a very empathetic person, it helps me connect with the individual straight away. And our motto at work is empower, develop, thrive.
Right.
So we want to empower people to understand about their body. We want to develop their abilities and then allow them to thrive in life. And I think, when you have been in pain and when you're constantly in pain, it's very hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's a long road, but it's very, very possible to learn how to manage it better. I can't tell someone that I will guarantee them to be pain-free.
No.
But what I can say is that if you do have a setback, it will hopefully last less time.
Right.
Right? Because that shows a certain amount of strength as well, or gain strength if your setbacks are shorter. And also just in life to be able to know how to manage yourself better, that if you do hurt yourself, that you know what the steps are to try and get back quicker.
Right. Strength.
Yes.
It's in your title, if you will, of your place. Can you just talk about it from two angles? Firstly, from an older person's point of view, and then for a younger person's point of view?
Okay. So I think basically with kids, we start them at 6 years old, but that's all about just learning about their body. It's not got nothing to do with weights, lifting weights or anything.
Right.
It's just we use their body and trying to teach them an understanding of themselves. And in time, that will give them the confidence to go and play other sports. And we're developing climbing and being able to be on all fours and crawling patterns and things that we take for granted that we
Moving
did as
patterns.
well, correct. Little things that we did as little babies that no one taught us, and you forget them. Unfortunately, we do. And sitting down at a desk or sitting down cross-legged, which is not great for us. And if you watch a little 2-year-old kid play, they squat in the most perfect position and they play. They don't sit on their knees. They don't sit cross-legged. They sit in a squat position and just play.
Yeah.
So we have all these wonderful innate qualities that nobody taught us, and then we lose them.
Yeah.
So we try and teach the kids from back, 6 till probably 10 years old, just developing nice movement patterns. And then as they get a little bit older or they're trying to get involved in sport, we can then refine things a little bit to match what they're doing. And then maybe by 13, 14, 15, we can start lifting some weights. And it is a bit of an old wives' tale, if I might say, about that you can stunt growth. You would have to do so many weights training days and eat so much protein to grow the muscle mass to be able to stunt your growth. I mean, it's possible, but it doesn't.
True outlier.
It would be. It's not very probable. And then as the older adults, or even...
Talk to me, Ronnie.
Yeah, no, well, you're not in that bracket yet. But we don't want to wait till something happens to then have to rehab it.
Yeah.
You want to get on the front foot. So when we like to talk about falls prevention, why wait till something's happened? Get in the gym, do single leg balance work, there's so many single leg exercises you can do.
Right.
Be able to squat well. I think there's they say especially for older adults, like older adults, there's a 3 times more likelihood of falling if you can't get out of a chair without using your hands. So if you have to use your hands to stand up out of a chair, then you are 3 times more likely to fall as you get older. So we need, obviously, the squat strength is very important, but the single leg stuff is so important. And that will put enough muscle around the hips, which will then help you and also give your ankles and feet understanding of what it's like to be on one leg. Because when we walk upstairs, it's one leg at a time, right? We're not doing 2 legs at a time unless you're jumping. So you need each leg to be individually strong so that when it works as a unit, it works well.
So everybody, really clear takeaways for people our age. Single leg work definitely is for you. For young kids, I only wish I knew how to move correctly when I was 7 years old, Ronnie. And speaking of developing and not hurting yourself, let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
Ronnie, school, tell us a little bit about it, especially maybe uni?
Okay, so we are going on like school, like as in before uni?
Well,
okay. I guess at university, I didn't have the maturity to appreciate the opportunities that I had, both at school and at uni. I always knew from a very young age that I didn't want to sit at a desk and that I wanted to help people. But again, I sort of saw it as a means to an end, as opposed to being able to appreciate that what I was learning at uni, I still wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do.
Right.
I wanted to be a physio, and then I wanted to be a sports psychologist. But I knew I wanted to help people. I just didn't know how it was going to manifest itself, and it turned out being a coach and a trainer. So I tried at uni, but not my hardest. And then
that's okay.
Yeah, which is fine, and that happens. And then sort of as I started coaching tennis and I started training people, and then it sort of rolled on from there. And I did do 12 subjects of psychology in my undergrad. Because I wanted to be a sports psychologist.
Right.
And that has helped me no end with my training for the last 25 years.
I'm curious, do you think that a lot of the sports psychology lessons are, when people come with a clinical issue, it's more of a sports performance issue?
It's interesting. I mean, we know that mentally there's a lot that goes, and we know that the pain center is in our brain. So that sometimes, if someone goes and gets an MRI and it shows nothing, and there's someone's in agony, and then you could have someone that shows like heaps and they're not in pain. So it definitely helps to understand how the mind works. And yes, it's if someone's more a glass half full person, it's possible that their recovery will be a little bit easier. If unfortunately they see the negative side of life, and it's understandable if you're in pain, it might take a little bit longer to sort of see that light at the end of the tunnel.
Right, and one specific question on that, because we do have a lot of people, unfortunately, that are in a lot of pain. And also one of the, I suppose, issues we have to work on is as people are living longer, there is more pain. Any words of advice for that person that is in chronic pain?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the first thing is to find people that you trust in the health industry, and hope. Obviously, we all hope that they're giving good advice. To me, I'm biased because I'm a strength and conditioning coach, but I feel like strength is the answer to everything. Obviously, cardiovascular work and Pilates and everything is. If you're out there trying to push against resistance, then you are doing well, whether it's on a Pilates bed or a dumbbell or whatever, a band, it doesn't matter. I think you have to find the right sort of person or people that you feel really confident are trying to work together to make you better. So otherwise it can get really confusing if you've got a few people trying to help you and they're pulling you in different directions. That's when it can get really hard, because who do you trust? That's the point. You have to find people that are really trying to pull you in the same direction and are on board with each other as well.
And I'm curious, do you think that one of the reasons your center is so popular is because you really do attack, I don't know if attack is the correct word, but help people on a holistic approach?
Absolutely. I think we have a wonderful team there where we get together. We might have a client that sees an exercise physiologist or and me as a strength coach, and then the two of us will check the notes and have a chat, and then we're always trying to drive in the same direction, so we get the most for that client. Yeah, and I think that way that little team can work for them to get the best out of themselves.
And it also includes the mental side, as you said. There, and diet as well.
Correct. I mean, it's not just one thing. It does take a lot, but also it's very important to know not to try and do everything at once. You've got to try and tick off what is most important to you at that time, and then when you feel like that is getting a bit better, then you might say, okay, I need to bring in, let's say, the dietitian. If you're in pain, the dietitian might be able to help, but first we might need to address what's the underlying issue here.
Yeah.
And if it's, your knee's hurting, we need to understand why. And then once you feel like you're moving better, then we might say, okay, now maybe it's time to bring in the dietitian as well. If you bring in too many things at once, it can also be confusing and a bit overwhelming.
Right. And as you're mentioning about it takes a team, but it also takes friendships. And one of the things that you have is a lot of group classes, and we certainly know a lot of people that get together there. Is that part of the thinking behind them?
I think so. So, I mean, everyone that's in a class has their own session, and everyone that comes into the centre has their own unique session, even within a class.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a generic type thing where you sort of have something up on a board and then everyone does it. I want to make sure that everyone feels like they're getting their own unique session. Recently, we've brought in some strength testing, which is not new for the industry, but by doing the strength testing, we then have even more unique programs for the individual based on the results that they've shown through their testing. And so therefore, when everyone's in that group, they enjoy seeing each other. And it does. It's created a beautiful community there. And, people that have never met become friends. And it makes a big difference. And even though at times I'll say, you're talking too much, let's keep moving. But then I will stand back and I go, look how good this is. Like these people, they never knew each other. And now they're going out for coffee afterward. And it's lovely. It makes it more fun.
And maybe, look, are people better off doing 70% of what's right, but being consistent about it because they want to see people there than doing this fabulous routine that they absolutely cannot keep up with?
Yeah, I think arguably, the most important thing is that you're out there doing something.
Right.
If you're on the couch and your back's sore, well, that's why. If you're out there trying to do something to become better, then you're on your way.
Right.
Yeah.
So there could even be a little bit of what I call healthy competition within these groups. Then.
Absolutely. I don't like. We have some boards up. Some competition boards up. I had to make sure that it wasn't specific, like that everyone walks in and like straight away looks up there because. But it's nice for them to know that there's a little bit of competition going on. But also things that you wouldn't normally see at gyms. We've got a climbing wall. So we've got some records up there for the kids that we train to try and beat, and skipping and just things that you might not see. It's not just about back squats and bench press. It's much more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Turning a little bit, your center now is doing well. Take us back on your journey because you started out, I believe, in a really almost abandoned church.
Well, yes. I've been in the industry for 25 years.
Right.
So I was very lucky that the trainer who I started training with offered me a job, and I worked there for 9 years, and then I realised it was sort of time to stand on my own 2 feet.
Right.
And it was the best thing I did because then I went back and did a lot more studying and realised that I couldn't fall back on my boss at the time, and I just needed to grow up a little bit.
Right.
So that was really important for me, and we've been to a few, not too many, but a few places around Caulfield where, yes, we were down on Kooyong Road where we were in a church hall there. Yeah. And then I went down to up near St Kilda and worked in somewhere there as well. But I think it was around that time when I moved from the church hall to St Kilda that I realised that I really wanted to open my own place.
Right.
And I just thought I was doing a little bit of work with a physio and with an exercise physiologist.
Right.
They were working at their places, I was working where I was working. But if I had an issue with a client I wasn't 100% sure with, I'd send them to the physio, and then physio would send them back and say, hey, Ronnie, do this, this, and this. And I was like, wow, I can do a better job now. Right. And this is where the idea was born, that this little team that I had put together, even though we weren't working in the same place, in the same venue, that it was working really well because ultimately the client was getting the benefit. I was getting the knowledge, and I was then able to be better for them. Right. And then the client got better as a result.
Right.
Yeah.
And as we've discussed here now a few times, it's a journey, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it never ends.
Right.
Right. We're just constantly trying to get better. And the good news is that there's no such thing as strong enough. You can never get too strong or strong enough. You can just keep working at it and keep improving. And I look at training as that whatever you do in the gym should be that little bit more than you need in life. Right. So when you walk out of the gym, you should feel confident that you can do whatever life throws at you.
Right.
And if you can't, then we work on it in the gym till you can.
Right.
So if that's athletic, then it might be a bit different for the athletic population, but for us general population,
Right.
It doesn't matter if you want to go on a hike and then 2 days later play golf and then go for a swim. You should be able to do anything you want.
Right.
And if you can't, then we got to go, okay, what steps do we need to put in place to get you there?
Right. And I'm curious also, another specific question, do you work with a lot of patients who have had a surgery or a procedure or something of that nature?
So we do. We've got literally from 6 years old through to 80, 85. We've got people on NDIS. We've got people on through all walks of life. And we do have, thankfully, like doctors sending their patients to us. So we do have post-surgery, pre-surgery. I've just had 2 clients. One of them just had a hip replacement. One of them just had a knee replacement. So all the work we did prior to that, and now they're about 4 to 6 weeks post-surgery, and they're starting to get ready to come back into the gym. So yeah, we can help everyone.
Great.
Yeah.
Ronnie, I want to ask again a different question. You've had a journey. What would you say to our young people, say call 18 to 25 years old, that just don't know what they want to do? Because you have been in that spot a little bit, as you mentioned there. Any words of advice?
Honestly, the parents might not love this, but I think you should work to go away until you're 25. I think you should have, as in like go to uni if you can, but when you're working to earn money, just go away and experience life.
Right.
I think it's good if you have a path to follow.
Yeah.
But again, I train so many kids and uni students that have changed courses 2 or 3 times, and which is amazing that they have that opportunity, but they're not sure what they want to do.
Yes.
And it's hard. Like
we're not always sure, even at our age.
Absolutely not. But I think if you can work and then go and be abroad and learn about yourself and learn about traveling and what is out there in the world, I think that's a fantastic start. And then from 25, I mean, you're probably going to work for the next 40 odd years. So I don't know if having a full-time job prior to that is important. Isn't that important?
Yeah.
Because then you might miss out on being a kid and you don't get that time back. So if you can sort of have a path or at least something that looks like you're heading in a general direction, but then work to earn money to go away and learn about yourself. And then when you get back, and you'll be better off. Yeah,
it's amazing how what you've turned what supposedly a weakness, meaning you didn't like school very much, into an actual strength, no pun intended, everyone.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I didn't try at school, and I tell this to all the parents of the kids that I train and the kids like for the Year 12 students that put so much pressure on themselves. I'm the perfect example of someone that if you would have seen my results in Year 12, you would have just said, oh, he's not smart, he can't do anything, like he's not going to amount to much. And thankfully I didn't believe in that. I just knew that I would find something that made me happy and that I would be good at. And you just got to find that. I think too much pressure is put on kids to earn. It's all about money and what they can, trying to get a house or whatever it is. And I think you should definitely look to find something that you're passionate about, and then the money will come. Like if you're passionate and you get up and look forward to work every morning, if you're lucky enough to do that, well, then you're winning. How many people can say they can go to work and actually look forward to going to work every day?
That's right. There are many, many paths to Rome. Ronnie, before we conclude, I do have something here.
Oh.
Spin the wheel.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask the question everybody
wants to know.
Wherever it comes up to. It's a mystery. Let's see, I'm not even going to tell Ronnie yet.
I'm not going to know.
Who is your celebrity crush?
Ooh.
Or who was it? I don't want your wife to
get
upset.
Oh, no, she won't get upset. I think Eva Mendes.
Eva Mendes. Interesting choice.
She was, what was that movie? She was in...
interesting choice.
Hitch.
Well,
she was in the movie Hitch.
Eva, we're going to make sure to tag you then. Ronnie, thank you so much. I've known you forever. What a great journey. Everybody, go visit Ronnie. He's on Glen Huntley Road in Elstonwick, right around the corner. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.